Natasha Romanoff. In the MCU, Natasha Romanoff dies on Vormir in Avengers Endgame so the Avengers can obtain the Soul Stone. The rules are clear. The stone requires the willing sacrifice of someone you truly love, and that loss cannot be reversed. Natasha's death is not caused by weakness or defeat in battle. She chooses to die because she believes her life is the right price to pay for victory. Even after time travel succeeds and Thanos is defeated, her death remains unchanged. In Marvel Comics, Natasha Romanoff's death works very differently. She has died before, including during Secret Empire, but her death is never final. The Red Room uses cloning and memory transfer to restore her body and identity. Because Black Widow is needed for ongoing stories, death removes her temporarily rather than permanently. Tony Stark. In the MCU, Tony Stark dies in Avengers Endgame after using the Infinity Stones to defeat Thanos. Tony builds armor capable of briefly channeling the stone's power, but his body is still human and cannot survive the energy. He makes the decision knowing the cost, ending the war at the expense of his own life. His death closes the Infinity Saga and permanently removes Iron Man from the MCU's active story. In Marvel Comics, Tony Stark does not die this way. He survives the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and later deaths are temporary. Comics regularly restore him through time travel, cloned bodies, or AI backups of his consciousness. Iron Man remains active because ongoing stories depend on his return rather than final closure. Pietro Maximoff, aka Quicksilver. In the MCU, Quicksilver is killed in Avengers Age of Ultron after being shot while saving Hawkeye and a child during the Battle of Sokovia. His death establishes that speed does not guarantee survival and introduces real consequences early in the Avengers story. Pietro's loss also becomes a defining moment for Wanda Maximoff, shaping her grief and future actions. The MCU treats his death as permanent and never attempts to reverse it. In Marvel Comics, Pietro Maximoff is a long-running character with decades of history. He is a veteran Avenger and central figure in many team and family conflicts. Because his role is designed for ongoing tension and development, comics keep him alive, rather than removing him through early sacrifice. Phil Coulson. In the MCU, Phil Coulson is killed by Loki in the Avengers. His death is used to unite the Avengers. Coulson is not a superpowered hero. He represents belief in heroes and the structure of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury uses his death to push a fractured group into becoming a team. At the time, the moment is treated as meaningful and foundational to the MCU's formation. In Marvel Comics, Phil Coulson's story takes a different path. After being added to continuity, he is killed and later brought back as a villain. Comic Coulson becomes disillusioned with superheroes and turns against them, serving as an antagonist rather than a symbol of unity. Maria Hill. In the MCU, Maria Hill is killed in the premiere of Secret Invasion. She is shot by Gravik while he is disguised as Nick Fury. Her death establishes immediate paranoia and danger, showing that Skrull infiltration is complete and that even Fury's closest ally is vulnerable. The moment is sudden and final, removing Hill from the story without a prolonged arc or recovery. After more than a decade in the MCU, her role ends as the conflict escalates around Fury. In Marvel Comics, Maria Hill is a much stronger and more durable figure. She is a former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and a hardline political strategist who often takes command when Fury disappears. Comic Hill survives repeated assassination attempts, frequently using life model decoys. She remains active because her role is institutional, not expendable. Aunt May Parker. In the MCU, Aunt May Parker dies in Spider-Man: No Way Home after being fatally injured by the Green Goblin. Her death is a direct result of Peter Parker's attempt to help and rehabilitate his villains rather than simply stop them. May delivers the lesson about responsibility at the moment of failure, not at the beginning of Peter's story. Her death is permanent and leads to Peter losing his friends, public identity, and support system, resetting Spider-Man into isolation. In Marvel Comics, Aunt May almost never dies. She is treated as essential to Peter's emotional stability and connection to normal life. Even when she is close to death, the story bends to keep her alive. Comics preserve May to maintain long-term balance in Spider-Man's world. The Ancient One. In the MCU, the Ancient One dies in Doctor Strange after being mortally wounded and falling from a building. Her death is presented as a conscious acceptance of limits. She believes her role is to guide Stephen Strange until he can stand on his own, and she chooses not to extend her life further. Her passing clears the way for Strange to assume full responsibility as Sorcerer Supreme. In Marvel Comics, the Ancient One's death functions differently. Although his physical body is destroyed, He continues to exist as an astral and cosmic entity. He regularly advises Doctor Strange after death. Comics treat mysticism as transformation rather than removal, keeping the Ancient One active as a guide. Odin. In the MCU, Odin dies in Thor, Ragnarok, after finally exhausting his strength. His death is quiet and peaceful, not the result of battle. The moment marks the end of Odin's rule, and immediately triggers larger consequences, including the release of Hela. With Odin gone, Asgard loses its central authority, and Thor is forced to face the truth about his father's past and the empire that was built through conquest. Odin does not return in any active form, and his death permanently closes his era. In Marvel Comics, Odin's death is rarely final. He frequently falls during Ragnarok cycles or cosmic conflicts, but returns through rebirth, spiritual presence, or the Odin Force. Comics keep Odin active because Asgard's mythology is cyclical rather than conclusive. Yondu Udonta. In the MCU, Yondu Udonta dies in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 after giving his spacesuit to Peter Quill and sacrificing himself in space. This version of Yondu is written as a deeply flawed figure. He kidnaps Peter, raises him harshly, and spends years as a Ravager making selfish choices. His death completes a redemption arc, redefining him as a true father at the end of his life. The MCU treats this sacrifice as final. In Marvel Comics, Yondu is a different character. He is a 31st century warrior and a founding member of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. He does not raise Peter Quill and is not written around guilt or redemption, so there is no narrative reason to kill him. Frigga. In the MCU, Frigga is killed in Thor, the Dark World, while protecting Jane Foster from the Dark Elf curse. Frigga is the one person who loves Loki without conditions, and her death breaks him emotionally. It also shows that Asgard is no longer safe from external threats. After this moment, Frigga no longer plays an active role in the story. She appears briefly through time travel in Avengers Endgame, but only as memory, not authority. In Marvel Comics, Frigga is not removed this way. She is the All-Mother of Asgard, a living ruler and master of cider magic. Comic Frigga remains active because her role is governance, not sacrifice. Heimdall. In the MCU, Heimdall is killed by Thanos at the beginning of Avengers Infinity War. He is stabbed after using the Bifrost to send Hulk to Earth, making his death immediate and final. Heimdall's role as Asgard's all-seeing protector ends abruptly, signaling that Thanos is powerful enough to remove even the gods' strongest defenses. Heimdall does not return to active duty in the MCU. In Marvel Comics, Heimdall's death is temporary when it occurs. As part of recurring Ragnarok cycles, he is regularly restored when Asgard resets. Comics keep Heimdall alive because his role as Guardian is structural and ongoing. Wenwu, aka the Mandarin. In the MCU, Wenwu dies in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings after sacrificing himself to save his son. Wenwu is portrayed as a 1,000-year-old warlord driven by grief after losing his wife. His death comes when he realizes he has been manipulated and chooses to protect Shang-Chi, ending his long reign. The MCU uses his death to close his story and transfer the Ten Rings' legacy forward. In Marvel Comics, the Mandarin is not handled this way. He is a recurring, unrepentant villain. He is kept alive because his function is to create ongoing conflict, not to resolve it through sacrifice. Gamora. In the MCU, Gamora is killed by Thanos on Vormir in Avengers Infinity War to obtain the Soul Stone. The sacrifice follows a fixed rule. The stone requires the death of someone the holder truly loves. Thanos throws Gamora from the cliff, and her death becomes the emotional core of the Infinity Saga. Although a 2014 variant later appears through time travel, the original Gamora, the one who lived with the Guardians, remains dead. The MCU keeps that loss in place and does not restore her shared history with the team. In Marvel Comics, Gamora's death is not permanent. She has been killed and trapped or displaced before, but her soul and body are eventually restored. Comics do not enforce a lasting Soul Stone sacrifice, allowing Gamora to continue leading and fighting with the Guardians. T'Challa, aka Black Panther. In the MCU, T'Challa dies before the events of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. His death is caused by an undisclosed illness and is shaped by real-world circumstances following the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Marvel Studios chose not to recast the role, and instead wrote T'Challa's absence into the story. Wakanda is left without its king, Shuri loses her brother, and the film focuses on how individuals and nations respond to loss. T'Challa's death is treated as permanent and is never reversed. In Marvel Comics, T'Challa remains active. He is the long-standing king of Wakanda, a core Avenger and a global strategist. Comics keep him alive because his role is foundational to ongoing stories rather than tied to a single era. Taskmaster. In the MCU, Taskmaster appears in Black Widow as Antonia Dreykov, the daughter of the Red Room's leader. She is severely injured in an explosion caused by Natasha and later rebuilt into a controlled weapon using cybernetic implants and neural conditioning. Her ability to copy fighting styles comes from technology, not skill. Taskmaster's role is limited and personal, centered on the consequences of Natasha's past actions, and her story is largely contained within the film. In Marvel Comics, Taskmaster is Tony Masters, a professional mercenary with natural photographic reflexes. He operates by choice, not control. Mar-Vell. In the MCU, Mar-Vell is reimagined as Dr. Wendy Lawson in Captain Marvel. She is a Kree scientist working in secret to help Skrull refugees and develop a light-speed engine. Mar-Vell dies decades before the present-day MCU when her plane is shot down. Her death exists mainly as backstory, explaining the origin of Carol Danvers' powers and the Kree-Skrull conflict. She is never a public superhero, and her role ends once Carol's journey begins. In Marvel Comics, Mar-Vell is male and the original Captain Marvel. He is a frontline hero who fights alongside Earth's heroes. His death in The Death of Captain Marvel is caused by cancer, not combat, and is treated as a major public loss rather than an unseen catalyst. Queen Ramonda. In the MCU, Queen Ramonda dies in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever during Namor's attack on Wakanda. She drowns while trying to save civilians, and her death removes the last stabilizing figure in Shuri's life. With both parents gone, Wakanda loses its traditional leadership, and Shuri is pushed further into grief and anger. Ramonda's death accelerates the conflict and leaves the nation without its guiding voice. In Marvel Comics, Queen Ramonda survives. She remains an advisor and symbol of continuity within Wakanda. Her role is to preserve tradition and stability, rather than be removed to escalate personal trauma. Hela. In the MCU, Hela appears in Thor: Ragnarok as Odin's firstborn child, a character created specifically for the films. She represents Asgard's violent past and grows stronger the longer she remains on the realm. Hela cannot be defeated through combat, and her apparent death comes only when Surtur destroys Asgard itself. With the realm gone, her role in the story ends, and she does not return. In Marvel Comics, Hela is fundamentally different. She is Loki's daughter and the long-standing ruler of Hell. Comic Hela is tied to the structure of death itself, and returns repeatedly. She is not a one-story threat, but a permanent cosmic force.